Good morning, everybody, or whatever time of day it is for you. I'll be talking about my experiences in France. I've been there 3 or 4 times, sometimes supervising students on a band trip or students who just signed up for a high school trip to France. And in all cases, it was just a marvelous experience in Paris. That was the main source of my experience of France. Although I've traveled across France to go from Paris to the Pyrenees to begin my Camino walk. So I was able to see the countryside in that area, and also from Paris. We took a fast train, 240 kilometers an hour, to a place called Reims, or they say Reims. I don't know why they called it Reims, because it's R-I-E-M-S, which is one of the Champagne regions of France. So we got to go down into the cellars, look at the thousands of bottles lying in these caves with thick dust on top of them, and just really enjoyed the trip there. Enjoyed the tours of the various champagne houses and the ride as well. Although you'd never think you were going 240 kilometers an hour. It's smooth, it's quiet, no jiggling, no nothing, and suddenly you're in another town. A beautiful experience, which we don't have here in Canada. So anyway, as far as Paris is concerned, when my wife and I had our 30th anniversary, our children surprised us by paying for a trip to Paris. All expenses paid, plus spending money and the best of accommodations and all that. And we went to Paris for 2 weeks. Absolutely enjoyed the weather and the scenery and the ambiance and the culture and the mystery of Paris. One of the things that struck us as we walked from place to place in Paris is the living history. You saw the places where Napoleon did this and where King Louis XIV did that, and where the guillotine was set up, and the crowds of Paris sat down with their knittings and their children and watched the lopping off of the heads of the nobility. It's all there. You can see all of that as you walk through Paris. So the sense of history is one thing that really sort of inspired me when I was in France, in Paris. And the names, Rousseau and Voltaire and all these thinkers, and the concept of liberty and equality and fraternity, which arose during the time of unrest, which caused the people eventually to rise up and to take the king and to execute the king and his family, hoping that the monarchy was finished. Somehow it seems a little bit like the kind of attitude or mentality or the kinds of things that we're seeing here in United States and now in Canada. It's the rising up of people fed up with their situation, and they want to do something about it other than let the government take care of it. And so it's this need to have change, need to fight for change. Sadly, in the case of France, they did have the revolution. The revolution turned into a civil war. Civil war turned into a dictatorship with Napoleon, and 2 years later they were back with a monarchy again. So all those lives lost, all the energy lost. But the point is, that's still there. The feeling is still there when you go to France and see these things. So the traditional things that people go to see in Paris is the Eiffel Tower, of course. Everyone knows the Eiffel Tower. It's a beautifully situated park on the banks of the Seine River. And it's kind of close to everything else. You can walk across the river, walk across the bridge, and visit other important parts of Paris. You can walk a little bit further and go back to Notre Dame, the big cathedral that burned down a couple of years ago and is being reconstructed now. You can go to the Latin Quarter from there. You can go to various cemeteries with the names of very, very famous people scattered about the graveyard, and it's, and what my wife and I did when we were there for the 2 weeks is we walked every single day, everywhere in Paris that we could walk, and just whenever we were tired, we'd sit down and have a coffee or a bottle of wine or something else. And you're always in the midst of people. You feel safe. It's colorful. You come across artists painting in the streets. You come across memorials or mementos to events that have happened there. You see famous buildings that remind you of of the revolution. And it's a constant journey through beauty, art, and history. And I just love that about it. Speaking of art, everyone knows about the Louvre. A smaller number of people know about the Musee Dorsi, two very, very famous museums, not museums, art museums. The Louvre is worth seeing. I don't think the Leonardo's work, Mona Lisa, is worth seeing. It's behind 6 inches of glass, so you really don't see the painting. There's always crowds of people milling about, wanting to see it. It's not worth seeing, in my perspective. But there's so much in the Louvre that is just, you could spend a week or two just walking and looking and thinking about what this represents and who did it and why they painted this and whatever comes to your mind. The better thing to do is to walk across the street from the Louvre and go to the Musee Dorsi, which is smaller, less well-known, and therefore less peopled, and you can see unbelievable beauty in that museum as well. All of them are equipped with beautiful restaurants, coffee shops, and it's just a wonderful place to be. Notre Dame, we wandered to Notre Dame one evening, saw that there was a concert coming up at 7 o'clock later on, just an hour later, went and got ourselves some tickets and went into the church when it was time. We were arranged in a circle around a circle, and inside the circle at the center was a choir of male singers singing medieval songs in the middle of this cathedral, and the echo, the ambiance, the beauty of the sound was moving, very moving, and it was free, and it's right there. And all kinds of art of that nature is everywhere in Paris. You round a corner and there's somebody playing a guitar and singing. You round another corner and there's a rock band doing their thing. You round another corner and there's a bunch of young guys doing phenomenal body-bending, mind-blowing dances in the middle of and that's going on all the time. And right in the middle of it, you can just walk across the street and go and have an ice cream or a coffee or whatever. It's made for people. The city of Paris is made for people and made for walking. Sidewalk cafes are everywhere, and they're not expensive. You don't have to go to fancy hotels, and it's just a human place. Unexpected beauty everywhere. The Seine River is a traffic route. Lots of river boats. A cruise down the Seine is a marvelous thing to see too. It goes past the Louvre, it goes past the Latin Quarter, it goes past the Eiffel Tower, and for a small fee you get to see historic sites and beauty everywhere. I'll leave it at that for now. And I advise you to go and see Paris once we're through this COVID thing. Thank you.